In an era of independent publisher showcases and of course the infamously expensive Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest and the Game Awards, it can be hard for indie devs, especially smaller indie devs, to get their work out there and get eyes on it. But now, maybe that's going to be a little bit easier, a little bit different. I think it's been a pretty good showing thus far. Today we're talking about the first ever, hopefully annual, Indie Quest put on by The Gaming Shelf, a fellow YouTuber, and how it has shown off no less than over 40 different indie RPGs that I think a lot of you are going to be very interested in. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including coverage of a whole lot of different indie RPGs, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel is very much appreciated. And of course, a huge shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters, both my YouTube members and my patrons, who help to keep the channel going each and every day. Having direct support from all y'all makes it much easier to keep doing this with as much regularity as I do. Thank you so very much. Also, as a personal favor to me, if you see anything that you like during this video, please do pause it, go find the game, and give it a follow and a wish list, as it will absolutely massively help these indie devs. So what is the topic of the day today? Well, of course, it is a particular showcase that, at time of recording, we streamed live last night, Indie Quest, a new gaming show put on by Taylor Hoyt of The Gaming Shelf, a fellow JRPG content creator, which is meant to highlight and bring attention to smaller, dedicated indie RPG projects. It is focused primarily on classic turn-based JRPG style games. Of course, as the first ever instance of this showcase, everything is subject to change, but there were also some turn-based tactics and action RPG titles thrown in there for good measure. And it was quite the showcase. It ran for over an hour and again had over 40 different games showcased. And now overall, I was really impressed with the showing. For the first time ever doing something like this, Taylor put on a really good show with a lot of great coverage of a lot of really cool looking games, and I'm personally very excited for what may happen in the future for Indie Quest 2026 and beyond. Today we're going to be talking about the 7 games that I'm the most interested in from this showcase, and I want to make it very clear. While I'm only covering my favorite 7 reveals and trailers from the show, again, there are over 40 different games that took part in the full showcase. It is very possible that you'll find something you love that I didn't choose to highlight today, as there's some great looking titles in there. I'm just taking a look at the ones that grabbed my nostalgia berries the most, you know? So, that said, that's enough of me blabbering. On to the games. First off, you know I had to open with a turn-based tactics RPG, and this one comes from Triple Tech Arts. It is inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics and Unicorn Overlord, and it is called Tactics Returners. This one has a beautiful set of anime portraits, especially with their cut-ins and attack animations, and it really looks like all of the mechanics and staples that you would expect from the genre are here. The game's website touts more than 40 different jobs. Apparently we have a free roam map where you can gather resources a la Unicorn Overlord. I imagine this is going to be more individual maps that you go to from an overall world map from what we've seen in the trailer, which still I'm totally cool with. It's really nice to be able to just run around a map in real time and pick up stuff, talk to NPCs, all that type of good stuff. We have equipable skills, interesting sounding limit breaks in the form of burst tech, so you can apparently use a panic button or a buff. There's a lot that really looks good here, and I'm enjoying the ongoing blending of 3D and 2D that a lot of these different indie titles have been taking recently. It looks really good in action, and I'm really hoping that there's going to be a lot of major depth with not only class building and skill customization, but also actual character interaction. One of the things that the trailer touts is the ability to actually develop relationships with characters and have decisions that you have to make between potential different story paths. And of course, to me, I jump immediately to things like Tactics Ogre with the branching stories in that game. I don't want to put that pressure on a 2-man indie title, of course, but I am curious to see what they can try to pull off with Tactics Returners here. It is absolutely going to be one that I check out as soon as it is available. We don't currently have a release date or multi-platform info for it, but I'll absolutely be keeping all of you up to date with any information that comes out from here on out. Definitely check this one out if you are a Tactics fan. Next up, we have a timed adventure RPG from developer Ground, where the protagonist needs to escape a collapsing underground facility before time runs out. This is The Time I Have Left, and it features main character Ein being marked for death and being hunted down by all sorts of monsters and hazards, while again, time ticks down and you try to get out of quote-unquote Colony 7. Really, the visual style of this one is what struck me immediately as soon as we saw it, with all the bold reds and desaturated grays, kind of making the game have an extra creepy sort of look to it. It reminds me a lot of PS2 horror games with a lot of the similar VHS, choppy, staticky imagery while having a lot of high-fidelity environments that you get to explore, which is a very cool juxtaposition. And you will be playing this, of course, as a third-person RPG. From what we've seen in the trailer, you'll be able to explore the map, find items, get into fights where you'll use typical turn-based skills and progression and attacks and all that good stuff. And overall, I imagine, try not to waste too much time on your way out. I don't know if this one is going to be some sort of a roguelite or if it's just going to be a shorter experience, or maybe if there's going to be some sort of a twist on the timer, but overall, it's one of the most impressive looking games at the show, and it's one that I absolutely want to check out. Again, we have no release date here, but there is a Steam demo if that takes your fancy, and it's probably something that I'll be checking out in my own time. For a major change of pace here, let me ask you a question. What if Chrono Trigger, but everyone was literally or figuratively trash? Interesting idea, isn't it? Well, that is the idea behind Kingdoms of the Dump, developed by Roach Games and Dreamsloth Games, and billed specifically as being led by two janitors. So you know they know a little bit about garbage. It features protagonist Dustin Binsley, and yes, it seems like everything in the game is going to have a similar trash-based pun attached to it in some way, who traverses a suitably beautiful but disgusting trash-filled world, where everything definitely is like a weird waste pun or joke, but despite that, it looks like a genuinely passionate JRPG in the makings of the SNES classics. And honestly, putting a well-made game of that type in a skin of literal rubbish sounds like a pretty cool idea, and I think it's going to work, despite all of the weird expectations or implications you might take from it. We have no specific release date for this one, but the most recent trailer did state it would be coming in 2025. There's a sort of quirky air here that isn't exactly the same as other quirky indie RPGs, and it feels like there's going to be a lot of fun mechanics lying underneath it all, so I'm absolutely excited to check this one out, and hopefully it won't be too much longer to wait into 2025 before we're able to get our hands on it. Now this one, I have to turn to my fellow Kingdom Hearts fans, and I need to ask, am I right in saying that Agrabah is one of the best worlds in Kingdom Hearts 1? I think it is. And apparently, developer Yaya Dambu's dev of action RPG Luminous Nights thinks so as well, as this is basically a whole game of it. Inspired by 1001 Arabian Nights, this is such a love letter to specifically the floaty, smacky traversal and combat of Kingdom Hearts 1, and it makes my heart soar to see it in action. While I love where the series progressed in terms of gameplay with Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 and all the spin-off games like Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance and yada yada yada, the feel of Kingdom Hearts 1 has never been recreated for me until now. We've got dodge rolls, we've got big floaty jumps, we've got health, mana, equipable skills. It's all here, and it all looks and feels like Kingdom Hearts. And I know we're not likely to ever see Square do a game like this again, right? Kingdom Hearts 4 is somewhere on the horizon, and I know it's not going to feel the way that Kingdom Hearts 1 felt, with a careful balance of unique style and just enough jank. So if Luminous Nights can kick off a series of Hearts-likes that feel like that, and then evolve in the same way that the Kingdom Hearts series evolved, I'll eat that up, man. I will absolutely be there for that. We have no release date yet for Luminous Nights, but apparently there's a playtest you can sign up for on Steam, something that I'm very likely to try to get into myself. So take a shot at it if you're feeling lucky. I definitely have my eyes glued to this one. I really just want to feel more of this type of gameplay, and I'm happy to see it here. Now, oh boy, how do I even begin to try to describe this one? Near Trigger 6 as a playable manga? Yeah, that'll do it. This is Artis Impact, developed by Moss, or Moz perhaps, and alongside the time I have left, it's probably, to me, the most visually stunning game at this year's IndieQuest. Now, I'm not artistically educated enough to properly try to describe it, but to me it's like rotoscoped pixel art, I guess. It almost kind of reminds me of the way that certain like pixel animated click adventure games used to look, and that's a really weird concept for an RPG, but it looks beautifully amazing. And really the contrast of like near or almost biomega character designs and portraits with this more colorful traditional pixel art world is really interesting to look at. I really enjoy it. I don't know what it is with me and contrast between visual designs and games, but I absolutely adore it. What's curious as well is despite the sort of, I guess, kind of gritty style of a lot of the visuals, and of course the absolutely breathtaking combat animations, like, oh my god, look at this for a second. It looks like there's a lot of humor here. such as our protagonist wailing and flailing as she gets bit by a normal fox. She's doing all these kick flips and crazy sword strikes that black out the screen so you can't even see how fast she's moving. And then her arm gets bit by a fox and she's like screaming like an anime girl in some, I don't know, 2000s anime. It's hysterical. I have no idea what the journey through Artis Impact is going to be, but very excitingly, we're going to find out real soon as it's launching on August 7th, 2025 for Steam. Highly recommend that you check this one out. It looks like nothing I've ever played before, and I really want to see what the story behind it is. Now, here we have another turn-based tactics RPG, which I'm sure is going to be exciting for all y'all fans of the genre out there. And wait, who's this handsome fella? Hello everyone, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and on my channel I tend to focus on turn-based strategy RPGs, with the occasional JRPG, traditional RPG, and the like thrown in. Today we are talking about a particular indie title that I've covered on the channel before, which I am extremely excited about. We are of course talking about Gales of Nayeli, and I'm extremely excited not only for its full release, but for more of you to check it out, so please enjoy. That's right, yours truly had the honor of introducing Blind Coco Studios' Gales of Nayeli in this year's Indie Quest, something that I was more than happy to do as I've actually covered the game here on the channel before and really enjoyed myself. Gales is by far the most faithful Fire Emblem-inspired title at the showcase, but with a much greater focus on skills, modifiers, weapon effectiveness, and terrain bonuses than most FE games have gone for. The result is a very granular, mechanics-focused experience, which is still couched in that moment-to-moment, turn-based combat that we all know and love from Fire Emblem. This is not only a part of the combat gameplay, but it also extends to party management and even story progression as well, so I expect lots of replayability from this title from everything we've seen thus far. The pixel animations are impactful and beautiful, the enemy variety is dense, the maps are colorful and fun, there's a ton of different weapons and weapon types. It's all here. Also, I do really like the clear inspiration from the history and culture of Canada's Indigenous peoples, which is being blended with like normal plate mail wearing knights and dark elves and nurses with guns. It's weird, but again, it makes for a really refreshing visual style, and it's very nice to see something that's so different from the typical Fire Emblems and Fire Emblem likes that we're all used to. I can't wait to play the full release of Gales of Nayeli, and fortunately, we won't be waiting long as it actually launches in less than a month from time of recording on June 23rd, 2025 on Steam only. You know this is one that I'm going to be covering. And finally, we couldn't end this video without me discussing the capstone of Indie Quest. I'm so excited to talk about it. It was an absolutely phenomenal way to wrap up the showcase, and its Infinite Alliance, developed by Critical Games. From a meta stance, this is one of the legitimate coolest things I've ever seen in gaming. Really, like, what's better than a showcase of indie JRPGs from different backgrounds and inspirations? What if the cast of many of those games came together in a massive crossover event to fight off the collective enemies of all of their games? It's like making a Super Robot Wars game, but with all sorts of different indie JRPGs. This is such a cool reveal. It's such a cool idea, and it featured a lot of the protagonists of games that you could see in Indie Quest. Even though I didn't talk about most of them here, I really feel that this title is worth discussing for what it represents. Indie JRPG devs coming together, working together to show off their art and support each other, while at the same time giving fans like us another game in the genre to play. I love this. I absolutely adore it. This is like 100% seriously. I am not being hyperbolic at all when I say this. This is the type of thing I live for. It's what makes gaming so great, and it's a perfect example of why I love indie games and devs. You wouldn't see something like this in the AAA space. I'm sure of that. Like, yeah, sure, things like Fortnite and COD exist that pump out crossovers like they're one lapsed adrenaline shot from their heart stopping, but it's so soulless, it's so corpo. Like, there's cool things you can do with that, and it was fun at first, but it's just been monetized to hell and back. It doesn't feel special anymore. So what all the issue is with all the Universes Beyond stuff with Magic the Gathering, but this feels different. Now, of course, all I know of it is what you all know of it, which is the initial trailer, but even so, seeing all these characters coming together and traversing each other's worlds, fighting each other's baddies, it makes me giddy. It's a simple, joyous, celebratory thing to do, and I can't wait to play it. Now, that said, unfortunately, it is a ways away, with nothing but a nebulous 2026 release date at the moment. However, they have some good news for us. This game, apparently, is going to be completely free. All the devs ask is that you support the games that are lending their characters and worlds to it, as that will support Infinite Alliance. What an awesome thing to see. Just a bonus for everyone. People being able to see all these different characters, all these different worlds, all these different games coming together to make a complementary game and hopefully get more eyes on each other's stuff. What a good way to support a growing community and support the devs that make the games that we all love. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe y'all won't be as excited as I am for this, right? It's entirely possible. Maybe I'm just a weird outlier. But to me, this is just the coolest thing. It is the best. And I would love to see more devs do stuff like it in the future. Whether that be other indie devs from other genres, or like AA devs, AAA devs who aren't tied down by super hardcore publishers and stuff. Whatever it might be, there's so much potential for stuff like this as a celebration of this hobby and this art form that everyone loves. And to me, I think that's the best thing to come out of this showcase. Much love to everyone who's working on this project. Seriously. Y'all are the reason gaming is still so fun in so many very different ways. And there you have it, with the bombshell that is Infinite Alliance. Those are my favorite games, my favorite showings from this first inaugural sailing of IndieQuest with the IndieQuest 2025 showcase. This was such a fun time. I absolutely loved being able to stream this with you guys. It was an absolute blast, obviously, to take part in it myself. Like, I can't understate that. It was a huge honor. But more than anything, just seeing so many cool games with so many different styles, so many different inspirations, so much love and art being put into them, for all of us to then be able to see it and actually be exposed to it and support it, felt great in a way that I haven't felt about a lot of gaming stuff beyond single releases and particular developers in a long time. Absolutely massive props to Taylor for putting this whole thing together. I can only hope that it goes on into the future and that more and more devs get eyes on their stuff as a result. Best of luck to all you indie devs out there who are putting your hearts and souls into making such cool games for all of us. I will absolutely be covering any and all of them that I can. I'll be checking out whatever I can, and I hope that you and my audience do so as well. If you plan on checking out anything in particular from either this video or the showcase writ large, do let me know about it in the comments. If you have any feedback for devs or anything like that, a lot of them will probably be reading these comments, so drop it there as well. Be nice, be respectful. These are people working on things for us to enjoy, so keep that in mind. But do give your feedback. I'm sure they'd be happy to hear it. And overall, I'm just feeling like my heart is full of love now, man. Like, I love gaming so much. That said, though, I do need to stop gushing, otherwise I'll go on forever. So, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. Thank you, as always, to all of my channel supporters once again. You can see their names scrolling by on the right-hand side of the screen, both my YouTube members and my patrons, for helping me continue to make content to help show off all of these games from all these people who make awesome stuff for all of us. We'll be back very soon with coverage of a few particular games, as well as a long-form discussion about where the heck Fire Emblem is. A lot of good stuff on the horizon with that, and until then, most of all, I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other, y'all. Bye now.